Hello, welcome to the Hawthorn Cottage Podcast. Today is Thursday the 3rd of August and this is episode 13. I'm Kate and you can find me on Instagram as Kate_Hawthorncottagecraft, on Ravelry as ARunnerBean, with a Ravelry Group, which is the Hawthorn Cotagecraft Podcast group, and there you'll find all the show notes. And I have an Etsy shop called Hawthorn Cottagecraft where I sell project bags. Welcome if you are here for the first time. It's very good to see you. I hope you like what you see and hear. And welcome back if you've been here before. It's lovely to see you back. Thank you to everybody who's subscribed in the last few weeks. It has been nearly 3 weeks, I think, since I last podcast. So thank you to everybody who's subscribed since then and before that. Again, if you're new and you like what you see, please feel free to subscribe and you'll be kept updated with any new episodes that come up. I hope you have your cuppa and your knitting and enjoy the crack that we have here, talking about what we've been doing over the last few weeks. I'm going to begin today by talking about the big event this weekend in my local area. I've talked before about Yarn Folk, which is Northern Ireland's first festival of wool, and it takes place on Saturday, which is the 5th of August, from 10 o'clock until 6 o'clock in Whitehead in County Antrim. Everyone's very excited. There is a great range of exhibitors there. A lot of the Irish indie dyers are going to be there, and we have a few coming over from England. It's lovely for me. I was travelling in the past weekend to a yarn festival, which I'll speak about later. And most yarn festivals that I attend, I have to travel to. So this is a real treat for me that it's only 15 or 20 minutes away from my home. There is great excitement, as I said. We have been watching Instagram pictures come up of the dyers and the yarn that they're going to bring. To celebrate the yarn festival, I'd like to do a giveaway. It is special that in Ireland we do have so many great indie dyers, and for the rest of the summer until August the 31st I am going to run this giveaway, and I have a couple of prizes already, and I'm hoping to do a little bit of shopping on Saturday to add to that. So if you're interested, the prizes will be a bag, lovely tote bag from This Is Knit, which is the most beautiful yarn shop in Dublin city centre. And there is a needle gauge from Townhouse Yarns that she kindly donated to the podcast for this. Townhouse Yarns is a local indie dyer who is based in This Is Knit, and she will be at Yarn Folk, so we're looking forward to that. As I said, I'll add yarn that I will purchase on Saturday, so I'm looking forward to doing that. And the other thing that I'm adding into this prize is a pattern that has been donated to the podcast as well. Naomi, who is Cozy Cute Knits on Instagram and Ravelry, is a local new designer from Northern Ireland, and she has designed a new pattern, a shawl pattern called Follow the Butterflies, and she very kindly donated that as a prize for the podcast. So that will all be in the bundle for the giveaway. And if you're interested, jump over to the Ravelry group. There will be a thread and a prompt, and the prompt is, which is your favourite yarn show or festival? And if you haven't been to any, what one would you like to go to? So it gives everybody maybe a bigger range. There'll be hopefully yarn festivals that a lot of us haven't heard of and that we can look into maybe for another time. I'll leave it open until August the 31st to give everyone a chance to see this and to enter that. I think it's a lovely prize, and by that point everybody will also need a wee cheer up because the summer will be nearly over, and I'll do random number I'll do random number generator for that. So Yarn Folk for me is coming on the back of the other festival, Fibre East. And I was in Fibre East last weekend with Fine Fish Yarns. I'm very thankful that Terry brought me as her booth buddy. I had a fabulous time. It was lovely to meet everybody. So many people came to say hello, and just generally people coming to the stall to see Terry's yarn and to buy some of it, and to see the excitement on people's faces as they moved around the festival. The festivals, I think, are wonderful, a real indication of how our community has grown and just the warmth that's within it. For me, meeting people whose names I knew, whose Instagram names I knew, maybe didn't know their first name, because we sometimes have a handle on IG that doesn't include our name, but to put people to all the chat and put faces to all the chat that I've had over the last year or so was wonderful. We really do have a wonderful community. There was a real buzz in the festival, and I can say I thoroughly enjoyed it. I am absolutely wrecked. Terry broke me. She made me work hard, but it was good fun. I love Terry's yarn, as you know, and it was lovely to see everybody else's love for it. And I love it so much that I knit a cardigan in it, and you know, it was for the festival, and I'm wearing it. It got finished and I am thrilled with it. This is my main finished object. I will insert photographs of it here, complete, so that I don't have to take it off now, and you'll see what it looks like. It's the Utu cardigan, which appeared in issue 2 of Lane magazine, and I knit it in Fine Fish Yarn gradient set and in her core sock base, which was 75/25 merino nylon. It was a really speedy knit. The pattern was very straightforward. It was top down. There was the motif is along the top, and then occurred again, if you can see it there, on the bottom of the sleeve. So apart from that, it was plain stockinette. Really, really lovely knit. I knit it in 2.5mm, which is a US 1, and 3mm, which is a US 2.5. I've talked about it on my other episodes. I'm just really pleased with how it looked, and I think it looked really well over the weekend and really showcases her yarn. I finished it off, if I can show the buttons, with these little buttons. I got those from from ribbonmoon.co.uk, an online shop. The selection of buttons there was amazing, absolutely stunning. Now, I love buttons, and it is quite difficult, I think, to buy buttons online, just to be totally sure of the size and the colour. And I got these, it said that they were a blue-green colour, and I was a bit concerned that they wouldn't tone in with the green of the cardigan, but was more than thrilled when they arrived. They have a green tint of them, but they basically reflect the colour that they're sitting on top of. So each one is almost like the gradient. There's almost a gradient in the buttons because the yarn's shining through. So I was really, really pleased. A button can make or break an outfit, in my opinion. You can have an absolutely gorgeous garment, and the wrong button can spoil it. So I was absolutely thrilled with that. It was a fun project. If you want a simple cardigan, the Utu is definitely one that you should try. that was my main finished object. It was what has driven my knitting over the last 3 weeks. I am not a monogamous knitter at all. I like to have 3 or 4 projects in the go, and I still had, but anything large got set aside just so that I could get this finished. I was a little concerned when it came off the needles that it would be too tight, but I blocked it very well. Terry, I think, was secretly hoping that it would be slightly too tight in me because then it would have fitted her, but because of that I blocked it really aggressively so that I could keep it, and I love it. I really do love it. It's a very, very comfy cardigan, and it's going to get an awful lot of wear. It has already this week. I've barely taken it off. So that was my main finished object. It really took up most of my knitting time. But I do have another finished object, and it literally came off the needles about an hour ago. I started this project since I spoke to you last, and it really was very, very quick. The pattern is the Naranj, and that is probably completely mispronounced, but it's the Naranj cowl, and it looks like this. And it's by Hilary Smith Callis, and it's a paid for pattern on Ravelry, and she also has a website called theyarniad.com, and I'll put links to all of these things in the show notes. I had wanted something quick, and I'll explain why I cast it on when I did in a little moment. But I wanted something quick. I had yarn that I purchased at Knitscape last May, and it was from Woolfinch Studio. So again, an Irish dyer. The colourway was Moondance, and this was the colour. I find this colour particularly difficult to photograph. As I was taking progress pictures on Instagram, I found the photographs were quite hard to take. This is I think it's a sport weight. There was 300 meters per 100 grams, and well, it's a heavy fingering sport weight. And I knit this on 4mm needles, and I'll discuss the needles in a few minutes. It was a very straightforward pattern. It started off as a semicircular shawl, and then got joined in the round at the back. Now it's obviously not looking its best because it hasn't been blocked. It is literally, I was at my mum and dad's last night, and I wanted to finish it. I'd started to cast off just before I left there today, and I wanted to get finished casting it off before I made the journey home. So it needs blocked, and I think the blocking will really open out the lace. There's a chevron lace pattern, and it's interspersed with garter rows, and it's lovely. This is another piece for Rhinebeck. I needed some neckwear. I love shawls, but I didn't want something that was going to continually fall off. So if I can very badly model this when it hasn't been blocked, this will sit really nice and cozy and snug up around my neck. I hope it's cozy. It is lovely and squishy, and it was a beautiful, beautiful yarn to work with. It's 80% wool and 20% ramie. And again, I hope I've pronounced that correctly. Now the 20% ramie, I had never heard of ramie before. There is a bite to the yarn. It's crunchy, but I think it's quite soft. And I wondered what this ramie was, and in my naivety I thought, I wonder what breed of animal ramie is. So I looked it up on good old Wikipedia. And ramie actually isn't animal at all. It's plant. It's nettle. It is a nettle from the nettle family, and it originates in Eastern Asia. And I had a wee look up to see what it was, as I said on Wikipedia. And apparently ramie has been used for the last 6,000 years in fabric production. And when I looked it up, this is what it said. It said that it is one of the strongest natural fibres, particularly when wet. And I'm just reading this off because I'll not remember it all. It holds its shape and there is very little wrinkling. So unlike linen, which wrinkles very easily, this will not wrinkle. And it gives a silky lustre. And that is true. There is a silkiness to this yarn that might not just come through particularly well on the camera. It does say though that it's, for durability, it needs to be blended with wool or cotton because it can be quite brittle. So it'll be very interesting. Of course, when I said to my mum that I was knitting with nettle, she was, all the jokes obviously about whether it would sting me or not, but apparently this particular type of nettle does not sting anyway. But it's lovely, and it'll just be interesting to see whether when it is blocked and washed, will it soften, and how it will feel against my neck. I suppose because of the time of year I'll be wearing it, I'll not be wearing low tops anyway, they'll probably be quite higher. It doesn't feel as though it will irritate, but wearing it really will be the tester for that. But it's another little item for the wardrobe for Rhinebeck. So I've now got a hat and a cowl, but still no sweater. But we're getting there, at least with something to wear. But the reason I cast it on when I did, I hadn't intended to cast this on because, as you'll see later, and as I've discussed before, the Rhinebeck sweater, which is the cardigan, has to be started and has been started. But the reason I wanted to start this when I did is because I wanted to test out needles. I'm a bit of a magpie when it comes to needles. I really do not need any new needles. I have various sets of needles, but I'm a bit of a magpie, and I have been really drawn to the Likey, I think it's Likey needle. But although I think it is a European needle, it's incredibly difficult to get within Europe. And this is the name of it, if you can see it with the glare. Maybe you can't see it. Likey. I'll put all links in the show notes. And I really wanted to try out Likey needles because I have seen that I can get sets of them in Canada, and I'll be staying in Canada on my trip to Rhinebeck. And I thought maybe I would order some for when I got there, that I could bring some home. But I don't want to invest in a set of interchangeable needles without actually trying them out first. That really would be daft. Be something I might do, but it would be daft. So I thought I would try them out, and I looked everywhere. Couldn't be got within Europe. I looked on eBay eventually, and eBay had an American seller on it for a very reasonable price where they sold the individual needles. So I ordered a set of Likey needles. I just love the look of them. They look like natural wood. It says it's driftwood. I'm sure there might even be very little wood in it, I don't know. But I wanted to try them. I wanted to try out the cable and see what they were like. I have a full set of Knit Pro Symphonies, and I have been knitting with those recently. So I have these, and I really wanted to see whether it was worth getting these when I already have these. And I can say that I very much enjoyed knitting the cowl with them. They're a lovely smooth needle, there's really good join. The cable, I'm not so sure about. I'm really not sure about the cable. It got in my way occasionally. It annoyed me occasionally. But I do like the needles. Now, I'm actually looking for your input. If you have used Likey needles, are they worth it? Do you think these are the be all and end all of needles that I would be mad not to get a set when I'm there? I don't want to invest in these and then not maybe like them and think, well, that would have bought so much yarn or something else that I could get. I don't want to invest in something that I'll rarely use or not think are totally wonderful. So can you please give me your input? If you have used the Likey needles, what do you think of them? Let me know in the comments below, or send me a message on Ravelry, or message me on Instagram, whatever way you want to contact me. Just let me know what you think of these so that I can make another kind of add to my opinions or ideas or thoughts on what these could be like. So that was the reason that I cast on the cowl and got it finished. It was a quick knit, and as I say, they were pleasant enough to knit with. So that was my finished objects 2. I hadn't really expected to have a second one, but I did. Works in progress. I haven't really worked on very much else apart from those things. I had hoped to have at least my Shades of Ethel socks to the point where I was starting the heel, and I nearly got there. I got to the toe decreases. This is the first one. You can see the waste yarn, because in these socks I want to try the Afterthought heel for the first time, following Laura Linneman's pattern and the Knit Girls tutorial. So I had the first one done, and the second one I'm on the toe decreases. I had really hoped by tonight, and I probably would have it done. It's a 2-hour drive from my mum and dad's to home, and I knit the entire way down, but we came home a slightly different road. I was feeling a bit queasy anyway, and the road that we came home was through the mountains, and it was windy, bumpy roads, and there was no way I could knit. I think I knit 2 or 3 rows and then stopped. If we'd come home the way we'd gone, I might have had the toe finished. But anyway, we're ready to finish the toe, and then I'll hopefully get the heels put in. That's the progress with those. I'm knitting them on, just as a reminder, Knit Picks Caspians, which I'm enjoying for this. I'm enjoying them for the vanilla part of the sock. It's funny now that I'm doing the toe decreases and there's the slip knits and the knit 2 together, the points aren't as pointy as I would like them to be, but for the vanilla part of the sock they're grand. And it is the Shades of Ethel colourway from the Knitting Goddess that was specially dyed up for Brit Yarn's birthday. And I said that I love this yarn. It's BFL and nylon. Just checking that. Yeah, it's BFL and nylon. And I love the base. I love how it knits up. I love the stripes. I love everything about these socks. And I had said, I think, an episode or 2 ago that at some point in my future I would get more Knitting Goddess. Now, the fates and the gods and whatever decided that the Knitting Goddess was going to come into my life slightly quicker than I had anticipated, because at Fibre East, the booth directly opposite Fine Fish Yarns was the Knitting Goddess, and well, it just had to be done. It was quite funny. Joy had set up earlier in the day than Terry and I. By the time we got our flights in and our car picked up and to the venue, Joy had already set up her stall, but had very sneakily, in my opinion, had covered it all in sheets. How could she? Did she not know that I desperately wanted to see? But she had covered her stall in sheets, and we waited with eager anticipation the following morning, and I think I'm not even sure if she had the last sheet off when we pounced on her stall. And I did buy yarn, and there'll be a photograph at the end. I bought one skein, it was very good, and that was meant to be my one purchase. But when the Knitting Goddess is directly opposite, I mean, what can you do? You just had to buy some. But there's a photograph at the end of what I bought. So that was the shades of Ethel, and the progress on those. The other thing that got a little progress was my Rhinebeck sweater. And my Rhinebeck sweater, as I told you the last time, is a cardigan. And I decided to do the Braid Hills cardigan by Kate Davies. And the last time, I can lean over here, I very gleefully told you that for the first time, I'm just not sure if that's showing up, I had knit a gauge swatch. So I was all prepared to start my knit, and I got started. And I may have been further on than I am if things had worked out. So I got cast on. I'm knitting this on 3.25mm, which is a US 3, and a 3.5, which is a US 4 on my Chigoos, and I love these needles. This is where, actually, just to go back, I'm not sure whether I should invest in the Likey, because I really would like a set of Chigoos, and they're more expensive, and maybe I should hold off on the Likey so that I can buy the Chigoos. I don't know. But I got cast on, and I'm nearly finished the rib. Love these little stitch markers. I have a bag that I made a few years ago with the coffee cups on it, and I can't even remember, so I can't even link it for you in the show notes. It was on Etsy somewhere. I've got these fantastic stitch markers a couple of years ago. Anyway, got the rib almost finished, and you can see where the start of the patterning, I think you can see, will start up. It goes right from the bottom up the bands. But it's a twisted rib, and I had got to about here, and I realised that I had knit into the back in one row of the wrong stitches, and I was a couple of rows past it, and it left a line. It looked like a line across, and I thought, I really did toy with the idea of leaving it, but knowing me, I had a fairly good idea it would annoy me greatly as time would go on. But I thought, oh no, well, just because I knew if I went back I would have to recast on just the food, and I'm looking forward to being completely finished with the rib. I love the look of twisted rib, and it would be my favourite rib, but when you've this much of it, I just really didn't relish the thought of going back. So I showed it to my husband, and I said, do you notice anything there? Thinking he'll never see it. Navy, dark blue, he's not going to see it. And he went, oh yes, that line across there. So he did see it. So somebody who's not a knitter could notice this. And I do want it to be as near to perfect as I can make it. So I brought it back and started again, and I'm now at the stage, I think, where I'm about to start into the body of the cardigan. And because I've left it for the last couple of weeks, primarily because I was doing the utu and getting it finished, now that I've come back to it, it's just kind of, I'm excited again, and I think maybe leaving it after that wee blip was a good thing, because I am really excited and looking forward to getting onto it again. I'm knitting it in Kate Davies' own yarn, which I had bought at Edinburgh Yarn Festival, and it's her buckle, and it's her Moonlit Night colourway, which is this beautiful navy. So that is Braid Hills. It is now a go-go. I will be working hard at that. I do get silly notions in my head, and I've heard different people talking about having more than one Rhinebeck sweater, and I know that is just way too adventurous, but of course in my head there might try to be, possibly finish Scully for that, and Fibre I did purchase some John Arbon, so with the idea of another sweater, those are, it's where I'm biting off probably more than I can chew, so it's just a case of work hard in Braid Hills and we'll see where we go from that. Some upcoming knitting that will happen at some point. One of them actually is upcoming knitting for Rhinebeck as well, but won't actually be cast on until the plane, but I had to share it with you now because it's one acquisition that I am going to show now because I am so excited by it. Sorry for the crinkling, everything's in a pile in front of me. I don't know if you watch Maria from Ninja Chickens, her podcast. If you don't, you should. It's a wonderful podcast. Maria's very relaxed, and she just brings a sense of calm when you're watching. But Maria is very into natural dyeing and eco printing, and over the summer she has had a project going where she's been eco printing fabrics. She eco printed bed sheets, and she's using for a lot of her printing plants and leaves from her garden and from her own environment around her. But she was also doing some eco prints of sock blanks, and I just couldn't resist. And I ordered a sock blank from Maria, and it came so quickly, and it's absolutely stunning. I am going to try and keep this for my plain knitting in October. But it arrived and it created oohs and ahs from everybody in the house. And Peter, who is always very complimentary about the finished objects, I mean, he does notice when you finish something. He does notice the yarn then when it's complete, but he doesn't normally ooh and ah the way I would, or get excited about a yarn that comes into the house. But when he saw this sock blank, he was impressed. He was seriously impressed. This is Maria's sock blank, if I can show it to its full glory. I am left with a serious dilemma. I don't want to knit it. I want to hang this up as a piece of art. I know there are really beautiful sock blanks that people have painted, but this just is just so natural and beautiful. To make this, she eco-printed it with zinnia, nasturtium, black walnut, wormwood and maple, I think, from her garden. And it is just beautiful. There's beautiful purple colours there, and I just can't wait to see it knit up. It's going to be socks, I think. It was funny, normally when I mention yarn purchases, and particularly because of the upcoming trip, I get the raised eyebrows, and really, do you have to? You know what it's like. But in this case I said, I think I might be ordering another one of these just so that I can hang it up. And I actually got that'd be a good idea. We were all so seriously impressed. It is beautiful, and I just wanted to show it to you. It'll not be coming out again now. I'm going to wrap it up and put it away for a couple of months, and you'll see it again in October when I'm en route on my travels. But that's from Ninja Chickens. Again, if you haven't seen her podcast, look her up. She's Ninja Chickens on Instagram. There might be dots and things in the name. I'll put all the links in the show notes. But you'll see the work that she does, and it is beautiful. So that's one upcoming. Another upcoming was something I received in the mail this week too, but it is a project that has been organised and hosted and run by Melissa, who is Knitting the Stash, and her podcast. And Melissa has, like myself, really values the community that the knitting world has created, and that the friendships that are being formed. And her project, the Knit Together project, is really celebrating that. It shows the connections that we're making and the stories that we all have that create this community. And she's initially involved podcasters and people that she would has met online. But it's for anybody who wants to get involved. And if you want to get involved in this project, you message Melissa in her Ravelry group. And again, I'll put the links. But this project, what she did was she sent a set of DPNs and a little card with all the instructions about what we need to do. And she sent a little bit of local to her yarn that I can use just myself. But the aim of this project is that anyone who gets involved gets these. When I finish with them, I will send these on to someone else with the card. And what each of us is to do is to knit an 8 by 8 inch square using yarn that is special, that is important to us. It could be locally dyed, locally produced, something that is special and that tells a story, because the community is made up of stories. Everyone has a story. So it is something that is important to us. We knit the 8 by 8 inch square. We send the squares, everybody who does this sends their square to Melissa. And with all the squares that Melissa collects, she is going to connect them together, put them together and make blanket. Maybe one, depending on the amount of squares she gets, will depend on the amount of blanket she makes. And at the end of the project, when you've sent your blanket square and your story and she's created the blankets, she's going to do a draw, random number I would assume, draw of all those who have taken part, and whoever gets drawn wins the blanket, which I think just is a beautiful idea, to think that somebody is going to get the blanket that everybody has taken part in and everybody's been involved in, and really brings it, just the whole community together. I love that. It's the connection together. So I have to think of the yarn that I want to use and knit my square and pass that on to her, and then I'll pass this on to someone else. Contact Melissa if you're interested. Her she has a blog as well that explains it, and her latest podcast episode discusses it. She really is worth watching. She is very, very interesting. She knows what she's talking about when it comes to yarns and fibre, and she's a beautiful spinner. I mean, just the whole aesthetic really appeals to me. So that's all the upcoming. I had been sewing the last time. I haven't done any more. I have cut out a paper pattern for a top, and I have ironed the fabric so that I can cut out the pattern from it, but it hasn't gone anywhere. It has been busy. It's the summer, family time has been busy, and with the festivals it has been busy. If you're coming to Yarn Folk on Saturday, please come and say hello, come and see me. I'm hoping to get footage, and maybe next week or at the weekend I'll put up like a mini vlog. I'm not very good at talking and recording and vlogging. I need to kind of be a little bit more organised than that, but I will try, and I'll certainly take footage of the event and let you see it, and hopefully get that up towards the beginning of the week, if not the weekend. I hope you are enjoying your summer. I hope you're enjoying your knitting wherever you are, and hopefully I'll be back. A lot of hopefullys there. Hopefully I'll be back in a couple of weeks' time, back into a more normal routine, and show you my progress. Hopefully there'll be, again, hopefully there'll be progress on my braid hills, so that you can see that, and the socks might even be finished. And although I didn't mention them earlier, Peter's socks are getting there. His birthday is looming, and I'd like to get those done. So that's the next few weeks covered for me. So enjoy your knitting, and I'll see you in 2 weeks' time. What are you doing? Advertising. Reversing the camera on you two. Hello.
Store in detail, and it's actually really hard. Are you all right? I'm exhausted.